The boarding pass failed at the gate. I scanned it again. Same red flash. The sound was sharp. Final. The agent glanced at her screen and didn't apologize. That part stuck. She tapped once, then slid the scanner back like it was done with me. Authorization was pulled. That was it. No follow-up, no explanation. The line behind me shifted. Someone sighed. I stepped aside because that's what you do when the system decides you're finished. I opened my email. It was already there. Time-stamped from minutes earlier. Terminated. Effective immediately. Then the next line landed heavier. My return travel had been cancelled. Not rescheduled. Cancelled. No call. No meeting. No warning. Just a decision carried out while I was still moving. Honestly, fear didn't show up first. Confusion did. I was mid-trip. I hadn't even finished the work yet. That made it feel less like a firing and more like a lock snapping shut. I called my boss. Straight to voicemail. Tried again. Nothing. Human resources went quiet too. The silence felt practiced. People walked past me with rolling bags and coffee cups. The smell of burnt coffee hung in the air. It made my stomach tighten. I stood there longer than I should have. Phone in my hand. Waiting for someone to interrupt this and tell me it was a mistake. No one did. That's when the thought settled in. They didn't fire me to save money. They fired me to stop me from arriving somewhere. My name is Jasmine. I am 42 years old. I'd been traveling for work for years. I knew how delays worked. I knew how layoffs worked. This wasn't either. This was timing. Clean. Precise. Like someone cutting power to a room before a meeting starts. I stepped away from the gate and checked my reservations. The hotel was gone. The ride was gone. Everything attached to the company name had vanished at once. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just stood there and watched the board change while my phone stayed quiet. The story you are about to hear is a fictional work created by the writing team at Her Fear. It is inspired by real patterns, real systems, and real power dynamics. But the people and events are imagined to protect those involved. I closed my email and put the phone in my pocket. Whatever they were trying to prevent, they had decided speed mattered more than courtesy. That told me everything I needed to know as I walked away from the gate and into what came next. I leave 3 voicemails. Short, measured, the kind you leave when you still think professionalism matters. The first one sticks to the facts. Mid-trip. Access cut. Need clarification. The second trims it down. Just my name and a callback number. The third is quieter. I hear it in my own voice, and don't like how careful it sounds. Nothing comes back. I try again anyway. Same result. My phone doesn't even pretend to ring this time. It jumps straight to that hollow beep, like the line was never meant to connect. A text buzzes in from an assistant I've only met once. No greeting, no punctuation at the end. Please don't contact clients. Legal will follow up. That's the whole message. It sits there like a stop sign someone planted in the middle of my chest. I open my inbox to pull up the hotel confirmation. It's gone. I refresh. Again. The thread collapses like it was never there. The room, the late checkout, the note about billing wiped. I watch it happen and feel ridiculous for staring. Like if I keep looking, it'll come back. I sit on my suitcase. The wheels squeak when I shift my weight. That sound crawls up my spine and stays. This isn't confusion. This is choreography. I start replaying the last month without meaning to. Meetings where answers came a beat late. Calls where my updates got summarized by someone else. Smiles that didn't reach the eyes, like everyone was practicing restraint. I tell myself I'm overthinking. I've said that before. Too many times. I wanted to believe they wouldn't do it like this. Not mid-movement. Not without a word. They did. I tap out a reply to the assistant. One line. Neutral. I delete it. I type another. Delete. I put the phone face down and keep my hands there until the urge passes. There's a difference between being ignored and being managed out of the conversation. I feel it now. Clean. Intentional. I stand up, drag the suitcase a few feet, and stop. If legal is following up, Then the follow-up already happened. It just didn't include me. I open my notes app and start writing down what still works. Contacts, approvals, dates. I don't know why yet. I just know I shouldn't lose the order of things. I pay for the room myself. The card hesitates, then goes through. Barely. The clerk doesn't look at me when she hands it back. That's fine. I don't want the look anyway. I sit on the bed and pull out my notebook. The old one. The one I carried before the company-issued tools took over. The pages are bent. Ink smudged. My handwriting jumps all over the place. It always has. I flip to the middle and start listing things without a plan. Approvals I remember getting verbally. Emails that ended with "go ahead." Notes from calls where people said, "We'll move forward if you're leading this." It's messy. Out of order. But it's mine. I stop halfway down the page because something settles in. Heavy. Clear. They didn't fire me because I messed up. If I had, this would have looked different. There would have been a warning, a meeting, a polite delay. They would have let me finish the trip and clean up whatever needed cleaning. This wasn't that. This was urgent. I picture how fast everything shut down. Travel, hotel, access, all at once. No lag, no confusion, just clean cuts. That kind of speed only shows up when someone's worried. I let out a laugh. One short sound. It surprises me. It doesn't feel good. It feels sharp, like biting down on something hard. I say it out loud, just to hear it in the room. You mattered. The words don't sound flattering. They sound dangerous. I think about the timing again. Mid-trip, mid-movement. Right before I was supposed to arrive and sit across from people who trusted me, not the company. Me. I know how this can sound. I know. It brushes up against paranoia if you say it wrong, but this doesn't feel imagined. It feels calculated. I flip the page and keep writing. Dates. Names. Places where decisions actually happened. I don't know what I'm building yet. I just know I shouldn't let it dissolve into memory. I close the notebook and set it on the nightstand like it might walk off. Whatever they were afraid of, it wasn't failure. It was me showing up anyway. I remember the slides. Same structure. Same order. Same language I'd wrestled into shape late at night. The difference was small enough to miss if you weren't looking for it. My name was gone. Someone else's sat where it used to be, neat and confident. This was weeks back, before the airport, before everything snapped. I told myself it was a handoff thing, a formatting hiccup, someone rushing before a meeting. I needed that explanation to work, so I let it. I nodded through it and moved on like that was maturity instead of avoidance. Then I remember the call, the one that came in after hours. A tight voice, no greeting, just urgency spilling out. Something had gone wrong on a demo. Data where it shouldn't be. A senior person's project. Suddenly radioactive. I listened. Took notes. Asked who else knew. Keep this contained, the voice said. Not a request. A direction. We can't have this traced back. It added. Softer. Like that made it better. I didn't ask for it in writing. I didn't loop anyone in. I fixed it. Cleaned the trail. Took the call with legal myself so the name that mattered wouldn't show up in the record. After, there was a pause on the line. No thank you. Just relief. Good. Came back. We'll take it from here. I hung up and told myself that was loyalty. That was being trusted. Sitting on the bed now, the air unit humming without mercy. It lands differently. I didn't protect the company. I protected people who needed me quiet, needed me useful, needed me gone once the risk passed. Admitting that feels worse than the firing. It means I helped build the door they pushed me through. The airport wasn't the beginning. It was the final step. The removal happened earlier, piece by piece, while I kept my head down and did the work. I open my notebook again and write one line across the page. Name removed before access. I underline it once. Not hard. Just enough to see. That's when I understand why everything else moved so fast. The decision wasn't new. It was just waiting for the right moment to look clean. I sit with the drafts open longer than I want to admit. They're dull on purpose. No emotion, no history. Just a few lines that say I'm available, that I'm still here. Nothing that could be twisted into drama or desperation. I reread the first one and hover over delete. Technically, I'm not supposed to send any of this. Legal made that clear. The message from the assistant still sits in my phone like a warning label. I close the laptop, open it again. My fingers tap the desk once, twice, like they're waiting for permission. I think about the gate, the red screen, how cleanly everything shut off. If I don't send these, nothing changes. If I do, something might. I hit send, then the second, then the third. I don't look at the screen after. I push the laptop aside like it might bite me. Time stretches. Not dramatic. Just quiet. The kind that makes you check your phone too often. The first reply comes in while I'm staring at nothing. No greeting. No small talk. We need to know if you're still leading this. I read it twice. Not because it's unclear. Because it's precise. Another email lands. Same tone. Different sender. Same sentence. Rearranged just enough to feel separate. Are you still the point person? The third takes longer. When it shows up, my chest tightens in a way I don't recognize right away. If you're not involved. We pause. No one asks about the company. No one mentions contracts or timelines. They're all asking about me, whether I'm still attached, whether I'm still standing behind the work. I type a response and stop halfway through. Delete it. Start again. My hands feel steadier than my head. I realize something as I sit there watching the cursor blink. Whatever I say next shifts the balance. Not in my favor yet. Just away from where it was. I close the drafts and open a blank page. I write one sentence. Simple. Honest. No shield around it. I'm still responsible. I don't add anything else. I send it and lean back, letting the silence settle where panic used to sit. Nothing explodes. That's what makes it hard to read. Calendars don't cancel. They slide. Calls don't get declined. They ring until they don't. Nobody says no. They just stop moving. An old colleague texts me late. Someone I've shared red-eye flights and bad conference coffee with. The kind of person who doesn't dramatize. They're asking where the updates are. The message says, another bubble appears, then disappears. They don't know what to tell people. I don't reply right away. There's nothing useful I can add. Anything I say would make it feel intentional. It already is. A few hours later, another note comes through. Shorter this time. They're scrambling. That word lands heavier than it should. Scrambling means they've noticed the absence. Not the reason. Just the gap. I open my inbox and scroll. Nothing new from the clients. No confirmations. No objections either. The threads are still there. Paused mid-sentence like someone set them down and never picked them back up. I break open a granola bar from my bag. It's stale. I chew it anyway. It tastes like cardboard and sugar and habit. I eat the whole thing because stopping would feel like admitting something. Another message pops up. Different person. Same circle. They think legal scared them off. That makes me smile once. Not because it's funny. Because it's wrong. Legal didn't scare anyone. Legal just isn't who they were talking to. I put my phone face down and let it stay that way. For the first time since the gate, I'm not waiting for it to buzz. The quiet isn't empty anymore. It's weighted, pulling in one direction. I didn't set this up. I didn't map it out. I just answered honestly when asked. Silence. It turns out, doesn't need instructions. It only needs space. I open my notebook and add a line under yesterday's entry. No response is still a response. I close it and sit there, letting the hours stack without touching them. I talk to 2 people I used to work with. Different companies now. Different titles. Same instincts. We don't put anything in writing. No calendars. No subject lines. One of them listens without interrupting. The other takes notes on a napkin and folds it twice before looking up. If you move forward, comes first. Slow. Careful. You'll be alone out there. The second one doesn't bother cushioning it. There's risk. There's always risk. I nod like I expected that answer. Like I'm not hoping for permission. We walk through it anyway. What I kept. What I didn't. What I touched. What I didn't touch. The line stays clear if I don't cross it. They agree on that part. They don't agree on much else. You could still go back. The first one offers. Not pushing. Just placing it on the table. Say it was a misunderstanding. People love a misunderstanding. I picture the email, the timing, the gate, the red screen blinking like a warning light. I don't think they do. I say, my mouth moves before I soften it. I think they love control. The second one leans back. The napkin disappears into a pocket. If they call, comes next, they'll want it quiet. I know that's true. I can already hear the tone. Calm, reasonable, like nothing happened. I won't be returning, I say. The words come out steadier than I feel. Not even if they call. There's a pause. Not awkward, just heavy. The kind that respects the weight of what just landed. Okay. One of them finally says, no congratulations, no warnings, just acknowledgement. My voice shakes when I repeat it. Quieter this time, like I'm convincing myself. I'm not going back. We stand up. No handshakes, no hugs. This isn't that kind of moment. Outside. I take a breath and feel the aftershock settle in. Not relief. Not fear either. Something narrower, like a door clicking shut behind me. I pull out my phone and turn it off. If they reach out now, it won't be because I waited. The announcement goes out the way we planned it. Clean, flat, almost dull. No names, no history, no commentary. Just dates, scope, and who's responsible now. It reads like a logistics update, which is exactly why it lands. I see it reposted before anyone texts me, screenshots, forwarded links, a couple of surprised reactions that stop short of saying what they're thinking. My old company responds a few hours later. The language is stiff, padded, careful in a way that tries to sound calm. Words like realignment and ongoing discussions. You can feel the strain in how hard they're leaning on commas. Someone from a trade outlet calls my phone. I let it ring. Another follows. Then a message. Can you confirm what happened? I don't reply. Not because I don't have an answer, because anything I say would turn this into a story about conflict. I'm not interested in that. A former colleague messages next. We haven't spoken in months. So this is real. I type yes and stop there. No explanation, no emoji, just the word. More messages come in, some congratulatory, some cautious, a few clearly fishing. I let them sit. Silence is doing the work for me now. I don't need to interrupt it. I sit at the desk and skim the announcement again, looking for mistakes. There aren't any. That's the point. It's factual enough to be unarguable, boring enough to be trusted. The room carries that faint printer toner smell you only notice when something official has just been finalized. It makes everything feel sealed. Later, a mutual contact sends a short update. They're telling people you went rogue. I don't react. That story needs noise to survive. There isn't any. I close my laptop and leave it closed. Whatever version of events they're offering now, it doesn't include me explaining myself. And for the first time, that feels intentional instead of defensive. Facts don't argue back. They just sit there, letting everyone decide who looks unsettled by them. We end up in the same room a week later. Industry event. Coffee that tastes burnt and old. Smiles stretched too tight. I recognize them before they recognize me. That part gives me a second to breathe. They approach like nothing cracked, like we're still aligned. Like the last few days were a scheduling hiccup instead of a fracture. One of them reaches for a handshake. I let it happen. I don't lean in. Good to see you. Comes out light. Practiced. The kind of tone that pretends context doesn't exist. I nod. Keep my voice even. We should talk. We step a few feet aside. No audience. No privacy either. just enough space to make it real. They start first. A soft laugh. A reference to how fast things move in this industry. A comment about miscommunication. I let it run. I don't interrupt. When it trails off, I give them what I came with. One condition. The words don't need volume. They land because everything before them stops. They blink. One of them glances sideways. Just for a second. Calculating. Checking where the floor is. I don't fill the silence. I let it stretch until it becomes theirs to manage. No involvement from your end. I continue. Calm. Specific. Not now. Not later. The response isn't immediate. That tells me enough. They exchange a look. Quick. Tight. Then a breath. That's a strong position. One of them offers, not pushing, testing. I shrug once. It's the only one I'm standing in. Another pause. Longer this time. I watch the shift happen in their faces. The part where they stop negotiating and start adapting. Finally, a nod. Slow. Resigned. We can work with that. No apologies. No explanations. I wasn't waiting for either. Someone calls their name from across the room. They turn away mid-thought. Already moving on. Already recalculating. I stand there a moment longer, cup cooling in my hand, and feel something settle. Not satisfaction. Not closure. Just clarity. When I step back into the crowd, I don't look for them again. Whatever this was, it's finished negotiating. The contracts don't come back. Not one of them. They don't announce it publicly. They don't need to. The silence does the work. The forecasts get revised. Meetings disappear from calendars. Someone higher up asks for explanations that don't land. A week later, I hear through a back channel that there's been an internal review. Quiet. Contained. The person who signed off on my travel cancellation is removed from their role. No statement, no farewell email, just gone, like access that stops working overnight. People start reaching out to me after that. How does it feel to win? How satisfying was it? Did you plan all this? I don't answer right away because none of those questions fit. I didn't get something back. I didn't reclaim a seat or a title or a version of myself that existed before the gate. I stepped somewhere else. Some nights I replay the moment and think about how easy it would have been to make it louder. A post. A call. A well-timed quote. I could have burned the whole thing down and watched it echo. Other nights, I'm grateful I didn't. Noise would have tied me to it. This didn't. I still have the screenshot of the boarding pass on my phone, the red block where approval should have been. I keep it buried in a folder I don't open often. Not as evidence, as orientation. A marker for where things shifted without asking my permission. A former colleague runs into me weeks later. We exchange updates the way people do when they're checking distance. You seem lighter, they say, like it's an observation instead of a compliment. I shrug. I'm quieter. That lands better. I haven't announced what I'm building next. I haven't rushed to replace what I left. For once, there's no urgency pulling me forward by the wrist. Here's the lesson I'm taking with me. Even if it's not a clean one, when someone shows you they're willing to erase you to stay comfortable, the most powerful response isn't proving them wrong. It's refusing to stay in reach. I didn't disappear. I just stopped returning to places that needed me small.